Well, we're just 1 week into March, and already there's a ton of changes across the Virgin Voyages ships, which will no doubt have an impact on voyages this year, but also well into the future. If this is the first time we're meeting, my name is David from VV Insider, which is a website that's dedicated to letting everyone know about what's going on across the Virgin Voyages ships. And I mean absolutely everything from food, drinks, entertainment, cabins, and keeping on top of all of the news and updates across the brand. This is our regular Virgin Voyages Insider update, where we take a look at all the news and all the changes that are happening on board that affect you when you're sailing. So if you've got a Virgin Voyages vacation coming, or if you're thinking about booking one, I'm going to take you through everything that you're going to need to know about all of these changes. And it really has been quite a busy week in the VV Insider newsroom. So this time we're going to take a look at some changes to one of the most popular events on board and how they're changing reservations to try and help more sailors get a better view of the show. Then we're going to take a sneak peek at Brilliant Lady's new MerMaiden season out of both Los Angeles and Seattle. There are some brand new itineraries now available to book on Valiant Lady and Resilient Lady. We're going to take a quick look at those. Then we have a really important update for anyone who's planning to sail out of New York City on Virgin Voyages this year. And then finally, we're going to take a look at some incredibly exciting Happenings cast news, including Valiant Lady's 11th Happenings cast members. And for the very first time, we're looking at 2 brand new Happenings cast roles, which will bring the roster up to 14. There's some crucial information you'll need to know about that, so stick around. So as you can tell, there's a ton to go through, so let's jump right in. VV Insider is the #1 resource for the latest Virgin Voyages info, guides and news. From picking the perfect cabin to booking dining, or simply just making the most of your voyage and saving money while you do it, VVinsider.com has helped thousands of sailors around the world sail smarter. Support our work by hitting subscribe and stick around to hear how you can get exclusive perks by booking directly with us. So a big shake-up to one of the most popular shows on board the Virgin Voyages ships. And we're talking specifically here about Murder in the Manor on board Brilliant Lady. Murder in the Manor was launched with Brilliant Lady back in September last year, and ever since it's always been an incredibly popular show, which has caused a little bit of drama on board. Across the debut season of Murder in the Manor, we have heard personally stories of people waiting outside the Manor venue for a long time, hoping to get a good seat to see the show. It wasn't unheard of for this line to stretch all the way back to the high street shops. And if you've been on board, you'll know that quite some distance for a line to take up. Well, for anyone who's experienced this or is hoping for a nicer and smoother experience for this show when they're on board, you'll be thankful to know that Murder in the Manor has now been moved over to a reservations-only system. That's right, Murder in the Manor is now bookable by the app, and you will need a reservation in order to guarantee entry for the show. For those of you that have sailed on board Virgin Voyages in the past, this isn't anything new. Historically, you were asked to book events on the app before you arrived at the venue. And when this was the case, when the venue was full, you weren't able to get in without a reservation. Well, last year we started to see that most events just allowing sailors to show up, but they were queued at the door before they were allowed entry to the venue, with rockstar guests being able to gain entry first. This had a little bit of a mixed reception at first, but most of the time it seemed to work okay. The problem was when these much more popular shows came around during the Brilliant Ladies launch season, things like Murder in the Manor led to many long queues waiting to get into the Manor. It'll be interesting to see if this type of reservation system is reintroduced to the brand across other events on the ship and around the fleet. We of course here at VV Insider will keep our ear to the ground around this and let you know if anything changes. But as for now, Murder in the Manor is the only event that will require reservations like this. If you want more information on these changes and how it might affect your journey, especially if you're a rock star, then head over to our article on VVinsider.com. You're also able to read a full show guide about what to expect when you head into Murder in the Manor on your sailing. Now, some jolly exciting news for those of you that are joining the Brilliant Lady MerMaiden season on the west coast of the US. So Virgin Voyages are really looking forward to bringing the brand new ship Brilliant Lady to both Los Angeles and Seattle. And as those voyages fast approach, those MerMaiden voyages are going to be the real jewels in the crown of these new itineraries. For those new to Virgin Voyages, MerMaiden is what they call their maiden voyages out of a new home port. So it's not necessarily a maiden voyage in the nautical sense, because it's not the first time the ship is sailing, but it is the first time these ships are sailing from these ports. And the Brilliant Lady MerMaiden tour has already had 2 stops, one being in New York City on the 6th of September, and then later last year in Miami. These 2 MerMaiden sailings that you're looking for kicked off in Los Angeles on the 7th of April, with the Seattle MerMaiden taking place on May 21st. Something we definitely know is taking place on these MerMaiden voyages is the Eat and Drink Festival. The Eat and Drink Festival this year in 2026 is called Passport to Flavours. We've written quite a lot about what to expect during your Eat and Drink Festival. So if you want to read more about that, head over to the website. But what we expect to see on these MerMaiden sailings are some dishes that are related to those home ports of Los Angeles and Seattle. We will also be expecting to see some MerMaiden memorabilia in the shops. And then of course, those all-important shows and special events. If you're looking for a full breakdown of the events to expect on board Brilliant Lady, we have a video guide on here on our YouTube channel. And we also list out all of the events on our website as well. So if you want to know what to expect, head over to there. One big bit of news that Virgin Voyages fans are very excited for is the return of Abby the hostess for these MerMaiden voyages. Abby, of course, is the original iconic hostess of all the MerMaiden voyages that have gone before, so it's only fitting that she returns for these brand new MerMaiden sailings. But she's not just hanging around for the MerMaiden voyages, oh no, she's taking over as hostess for the rest of that Happenings Cast season. So expect to see Abby the hostess back on Brilliant Lady on March 21st, leading all the way up to July 16. One bonus thing to mention in Los Angeles is a glitzy launch party on April 6th. This launch party is reserved for media and travel professionals, so unfortunately there are no open tickets available to the public. But it's likely during these type of events we might see some footage from on board with some celebrity guests and influencers. We'll be sure to cover the news that comes out of these MerMaiden voyages here on VV Insider, so if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel to keep on top of all of those updates. It's been a busy week here in terms of the news that is coming out of Virgin Voyages, but also on the travel and booking side, it's been a big week too, with the launch of the brand new Valiant Lady and Resilient Lady itineraries for the Winter 27-28 Caribbean sailings itineraries, with 2 very distinct vibes across the 2 ships. First of all, Valiant Lady will be taking the shorter sailings, with the maximum sailing duration of 7 nights and a minimum of just 3. So these are perfect if you have limited paid time off and you just want to get away and have a great time on board the Virgin Voyages ships. The 3-night sailings, for example, stop off at the Beach Club at Bimini, which is always a really fun time. Or if you prefer to take things a little slower, maybe Resilient Lady is the one for you. She starts off on a Halloween-themed transatlantic voyage on October the 24th, where she sails from Barcelona to Miami via Mallorca, Funchal, and Tenerife, before spending a number of relaxing days at sea before reaching Miami. We expect that one to be very, very popular, not least because it's a Halloween voyage, so it'll include that iconic Virgin Voyages Halloween party as well. But when Resilient reaches Miami, she's going to be doing those longer voyages, those 6 to 8 night voyages, calling at many places in the Caribbean. There's a huge amount of options with these Caribbean sailings, so head over to our article on vvinsider.com to look at all the incredible ports that these itineraries have to offer. And of course, if you're looking to get booked on one of these itineraries that are a little bit further out, it's often that there are some incredible loot deals available for booking early. That comes in the form of our very special Sail Forward Sailor Loot offer, where you can get $200 of extra onboard credit on top of the offers that are already advertised on Virgin Voyages. These are offered on most sailings if you choose a limited sea terrace or above, and the amount of credit that you get depends on how long your voyage is. We can explain everything to you and make sure you get the best offer possible. Just head over to vvinsider.com/book and find a sailing that looks right to you. Not only do we have this extra special Sailor Loot offer, but regardless of that offer, there are a ton of perks by booking with VV Insider anyway, including the peace of mind that comes from booking with the #1 expert Virgin Voyages resource, advert-free access to all of our tools and content, and earn loyalty diamonds for every booking that you make that you can spend on more onboard credits. It really is a win-win, and it helps support the work that we do here. So we'd love to hear from you and plan that perfect voyage together. Speaking of our incredible sailor support, we've already let our sailors know that there's been a port change to those who are sailing out of and to New York City this year, with Virgin Voyages moving their port from Manhattan to Brooklyn. This move was made because of infrastructure work happening around Pier 90, which has meant that there's a bottleneck at the old port. So to make sure that sailors have minimal disruption, Virgin Voyages have moved their home port to Brooklyn. The new address that you'll need to know is 210 Clifton Wharf, and every single sailor who's booked on those itineraries will be receiving an email from Virgin Voyages letting them know about the changes over the next day or so. Now for some really exciting news if you're heading on board Valiant Lady over the next few months, and that's with the introduction of the brand new Happenings cast. This is Happenings cast 11 on board Valiant Lady. This new cast includes some familiar faces, mostly from Valiant cast #9. There are some new faces as well, so let's take a look at who to expect. So firstly, our voyage hosts. So the first of those two pairs of iconic heels will be filled by Annabelle, the hostess. Annabelle will be a familiar face to anyone that has been on Valiant Lady before. Not only was she the hostess in Valiant Cast 9, but prior to that, you'll also have recognized Annabelle as the vocalist on board, including performing her incredible vocals at both It's a Ship Show and the Untitled Dance Party show thing. Then we welcome back Cordelia Facade, the diva. Cordelia Facade is a Nashville-based drag performer who starred as the diva as well on Valiant Ladies cast #9. She'll be back headlining Valiant Ladies drag show, which is Virgin Voyages' original drag show called Around the World with the Diva. And interestingly, on Valiant Lady, this is the only diva show that's presented in the Red Room as opposed to the Manor. You'll also see Cordelia at things like Bingo with the Diva and hosting a few other events as well. Then moving on to the aficionados, we're welcoming back Caitlin the Gamer from Valiant Cast 9. A warm welcome to Mark the Charmer, who is a brand new face on board Virgin Voyages. Returning again is Shelby the Artist. Another brand new face is Abby the Foodie, and yet another returner, this time from both Cast 9 and Cast 7 on Valiant Lady, is AJ the Balancer. Now moving on to the influencers and dancers, firstly as the Spark, we're welcoming Austin, who is brand new on board Virgin Voyages, but has been with the company as a swing or a stand-in on the Happenings cast on land. So it'd be great to see him on board. Then from Valiant cast #9 again, we have Megan back as the Glow. Then another familiar face to Virgin Voyages fans, Lily Ooh joins the cast of Valiant Lady after previously being on board Scarlet Lady's cast #10, where we saw her last year in Iceland, as well as Resilient Lady cast 6 and Valiant Lady cast 2. Then as the Hype, we welcome back Sammy, who is no stranger to Virgin Voyages, having been with the brand during the debut seasons of Scarlet Lady and Valiant Lady. And then finally, as the Bounce, we have Ali, who joins from Scarlet Lady's cast 6 and cast 8. This looks like yet another incredible Happenings cast. They took the helm on February 28 and will be on board until August 27, which means of course they will be on board for Valiant Lady's dry dock coming up in the not too distant future in May. We're hoping to get some more information about what to expect on board Valiant Lady when she comes out of dry dock, so make sure that you stay subscribed to this channel for more information on the new Valiant Lady changes. We're very much looking forward to seeing especially what the new Razzle Dazzle restaurant will end up looking like. Now, sticking with Happenings, there's some very exciting and somewhat unexpected news came out of Miami just last week, and that is the introduction of 2 brand new Happening cast roles. These aren't just new Happenings cast members, brand new roles. And this is the first time we've ever seen an addition to the Happenings cast roles over and above the 12 that we're quite familiar with that we just went through earlier. Just as a little bit of Virgin Voyages trivia, there was a 13th Happenings cast member in the debut season called the Doctor. We don't have the time to go into what the Doctor was all about, but if you want to give it a quick Google, I'm sure you'll find some information on it, and I think you'll be quite surprised. But we're talking about the future now, and that is the introduction of 2 brand new Happenings cast members, but the caveat is these are specifically for the Alaska season on Brilliant Lady. So this unfortunately is not across the entire fleet. So the two cast members are the Naturalist and the Lumberjack. And the idea here is that these are going to be destination experts for the Alaska sailing. Of course, it's not uncommon to have destination experts for a season like this where you're going to a specific destination and it's mostly about the port instead of what's on board the ship. Well, Virgin Voyages are hoping to blend the ship and the destination together with the introduction of these roles. Traditionally on other cruise lines, these destination experts tend to offer things like lectures and talks about what to expect when you get to different ports. The idea of Virgin Voyages introducing these two members as happenings cast members instead is that they're hoping to break the mold a little bit and do slightly more intimate and fun activities to introduce the idea of all of these new experiences that sailors will find in Alaska. So first off, the Naturalist will be an expert in the natural wonders of Alaska, what to expect when it comes to nature, the well-balanced ecosystem that you're going to be expecting to see pass by Brilliant Lady as she travels along the coast of the USA's most northerly state. Then the Lumberjack, on the other hand, will be looking specifically at what regional industry looks like in Alaska, providing a cultural voice and explaining how industry and culture has shaped Alaska throughout the last few hundred years. So it'll be really interesting to take a look at the lineup of the Brilliant Lady as she goes into that Alaska season and what new Alaska-specific events we're going to see show up on the lineup. It's likely we'll learn more about this before she sets sail in Alaska, so again, stay subscribed to our channel to learn more about what to expect there. I think what we're really interested in here is the implication of having these new happenings cast members be region specific, and it brings up the question of whether we'll see more of this as Virgin Voyages expands in the future with new itineraries and new destinations. What I will say is as we head towards the Alaska season, if you are headed on board, it's worth making sure that you are attending those events by both the Naturalist and the Lumberjack to show the brand that this type of thing is welcome and these new happenings cast members are what we want to see on board. As well, we know Virgin Voyages take sailor feedback very seriously, so make sure go along to these events and share your feedback on the survey to let them know how they do. Thanks for coming along on this insider update. As I said, of course, there was tons to go through, but if you found those updates useful, then please do give us a like and make sure you are subscribed to this channel as well. If you'd like to support us in any other way, the best way to do that is to make sure that your Virgin Voyages booking is connected to us. You can find out more about how to do that free of charge at vvinsider.com/book. And what's more, if you've already made a booking, there might still be a way to have us connected to that booking. So read the information about transferring a booking on that page and we'll be in touch to let you know how to do that. We put out a video guide last week letting you know how to make the most of traveling as a group on Virgin Voyages. So if you're looking for something more to watch in the theme of Virgin Voyages, I recommend heading over to that video to pick up some tips about how to make the most of traveling with a larger group. Well, thank you so much for coming along. We'll be back with a new video guide next week, but until then, happy sailing.